Let's rock. What's going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of the Take Three podcast. We're here on Wednesday evening on the eve of Thursday Night Football. We finally got what we think is going to be a halfway decent Thursday Night Football game, which we'll get into in a little bit. We got Lamar going on the road to take on Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Bucs. Both teams are pretty desperate, need wins, right? I mean, I'd say a question is who needs it more. I could argue Baltimore does just because the AFC is that much tougher, but Tampa Bay kind of needs to get their shit together and get rolling. And then, I mean, we get a London game starting off the Sunday slate. Russell Wilson's back. He was doing jumping jacks, high knees on the damn plane, all that shit. He's back. Don't really expect much out of Denver, to be honest. Nathaniel Hackett, I heard, is coaching for his life. If he loses in London, he could be canned. So, I mean, there's always that. You get the Cowboys playing the Bears. Can the Bears do it again? Probably not. New England plays the Jets. Our Eagles are back. 6-0 Eagles off the bye week. Just acquired Robert Quinn. Don't know how much he'll be involved this week, but that's big news going forward. Obviously, I want to see us hopefully not come out rusty off the bye, take care of business. Later in the day, the 49ers, Rams, big stakes in that one. We get also the Giants, 6-1, take on Seattle, 4-3 in Seattle. That should be a good benchmark for both teams, the Giants especially having to go into Seattle. And then we close out the evening with Buffalo and Green Bay. Should be an ass whooping of a lifetime for Aaron Rodgers. So looking at this slate, man, what games are you excited for going into week 8, besides obviously the Eagles taking on the Steelers coming out of the bye?
Yeah, week 8, I'm actually pretty excited for. I think it's going to be a much better weekend than last weekend. We get a good Thursday night game to lead us in. And honestly, it's going to sound weird to say, but I'm very interested to see the New York Giants in Seattle. Two surprising teams. The spread is only 3 points. We'll get into that game. But like that one's on the radar, the Niners, and then, of course, Eagles, like always. But I'm excited for this weekend of football. I think it's going to be a pretty good weekend, better than week 7.
Yeah, we talked. I'm kind of interested Jets Patriots too. Just see if the Patriots will come out duds 2 weeks in a row. Mac Jones named the starter, and can the Jets keep it going? Right, Jets, they could improve the 6-2 and really position themselves nicely in that AFC playoff picture, which is weird to say. But let's move on. First game on the docket, if it lets me get over here, we got the Bucs at home taking on Lamar Jackson and the Ravens. As I said, two teams that they need to keep winning. The Ravens obviously being in the AFC with the amount of stacked teams that are out there. When you have Chargers in the wild card hunt, when you got obviously the Jets now 5-2 sitting in the wild card hunt, they need to keep winning ball games. They still have to contend with the Bengals as well in that AFC North, who they beat. They hold a tiebreaker over. But and then you get the Bucs. They looked like shit last week. Got dominated by PJ Walker. Sounds weird to say. We spoke about it when we recap week 7. Is Tom Brady's Bucs are on life support. Russell Gage is already out. I believe one of their linemen in the middle, one of the guards is out as well, and Julio's a game time decision. So they're trotting out with the same group of guys. It's going to be on Tom Brady. I know all the corners are out as well. Carlton Davis is out. Sean Murphy Bunting's out. And I believe Antoine Winfield's out as well. So they're coming out with a skeleton crew. Is going to look like the secondary is going to look like last year's secondary. Not very good. Offense already not really churning at all, firing at all cylinders is what I was looking for. So, I mean, what are you looking for in this? Ravens are obviously favored by 1. Actually, I think it's flip-flop now. I think when I made this, the Ravens were favored. I think they're a 1-point dog now. Bucs are 1-point favorite. But what are you looking for in this?
Yeah, it's actually a spot I really like, Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens. Tampa Bay has been struggling, obviously, the last 2 weeks. You already kind of nailed it. Offensive line and the team's on life support. They're not going to really have the cornerbacks. We'll see which receivers they have behind their stars. And they have no running game at all. Tampa Bay can't run the ball. I have no faith in that they're going to be able to get it going on Thursday night, to be honest. And the way the offensive line's playing, like Tom Brady's clearly a step behind this season compared to years past, but the way the offensive line's playing, I don't see how this offense is going to be able to generate any big plays. They struggle to create big plays all year, and they're facing a really tough Ravens team. Luckily, they are at home, but I just don't see it for Tampa Bay right now. I have a hard time picking Tampa Bay with any kind of confidence. And I like the Baltimore Ravens. I think heading into this season, I thought they had a chance to win the AFC and they would be one of the more elite teams in the AFC. They're clearly on the upper echelon of AFC teams. They're a better team than most, but I think they're a step below the two elite guys. With that being said, Baltimore's led every game that they've been in by like 10 points this year. They have had some really bad collapses down the stretch. And I with that being said, they've been able to score points on everybody. I don't expect that to change. I think they go into Tampa Bay, they're able to score on that defense. Lamar does what he wants against that secondary, and a little bit enough and just enough and on the ground that the Ravens, I like them by a touchdown. I just don't see how you can pick the Bucs with any kind of confidence. The Ravens can score points on anybody, and all they have to do is basically win, right? Is -1. It's a straight up pick 'em. I like Baltimore a lot.
Yeah, when I first looked at this, I was kind of all Baltimore with seeing the guys were out. And I was like, but you know what? I said, I'm flip-flopping. I'm going with the Tampa Bay Bucs. I think the Ravens defense is just as bad, right? I mean, they're both bad. They're both bad units, right? I mean, obviously if I'm sitting here trusting Lamar Jackson, I mean, if we're looking at the two quarterbacks, Tom Brady, he kind of hasn't been terrible. He's only thrown one interception. They just have no explosive plays, a lot of sacks, no run game really, as you mentioned. But I think that Tom Brady will be able to have his way with the secondary of the Ravens. I think he'll be able to do enough. The Ravens team, they have trouble finishing off drives. Justin Tucker in the past 3 games has kicked 5 field goals of under 35 yards. So they've stalled out a lot of drives in the red zone. The front is still healthy and ready for the Bucs. I mean, they still have the linebackers, they still have the front guys. If they can contain Lamar and kind of not let him get outside the Ravens, I mean, he's really been the Ravens' entire offense. He's their leading rusher. Obviously, we've seen what he's done with the arm. So if they can contain him, I think they can have success. And I don't know, it just feels like a get right spot. When I looked at the line and it flip-flopped, I was like, somebody's onto something, right? The Sharps are onto something when Baltimore was favored, and then suddenly it's flipped around the other way. So I'm going to ride with Tampa Bay for 1 week. I mean, don't want to say it's with a great amount of confidence, but I just think we could be in for a shootout, right? I think Tom Brady will be able to do his thing just as much as Lamar will. Now, one thing that's good for the Ravens is they did get 5 sacks last week. So, I mean, the front, they just added Jason Pierre-Paul, who could be out for revenge, looking to sack Tom Brady a couple times. Obviously, he played with the Bucs for 4 seasons. So if they can get after Tom Brady and cause issues that way, then it could flip-flop. But I'm going to ride Tampa Bay for 1 week. They have Evans. They have Godwin out there. I think they'll be able to do enough against that Ravens defense, who hasn't really been impressive this year.
I got to be honest. I'm surprised you're rolling with the Bucs here. I like the mix-up. And I think you're spot on with the analysis. But the thing is, that's why I was emphasizing the Ravens' ability to score points, and that's where I'm leaning. And it's just that offensive line play for Tampa Bay. But I love that you switched it up. I really thought you were going Baltimore.
No, yeah, I was going Baltimore, but then I said, let's give the GOAT. It's not Aaron Rodgers, it's Tom Brady. It feels like they're back at home. It just feels like one. I don't know if they can stall out a couple drives in the red zone and force a couple field goals and get a few plays in the secondary. I think they can do just enough. But it's not a great deal. I wouldn't call it any lock of the week type material. It's just I'm taking Tom Brady for 1 week, and we'll see how it rolls. They haven't looked great. But the Ravens, they've had their issues as well, where they come out looking great and they find ways to lose games. So, I mean, it's 2 teams. I'm actually quite excited for this Thursday night game, considering the matchups that we've gotten like the past 3-4 weeks that really haven't done. They haven't done much.
I like it. You pretty much nailed it. That's exactly what I was going to say. At this point on Thursday night, can we just get a competitive, good game?
Exactly. So let's move on to 2 teams that are also surprising, right? We have the Giants going out to Seattle. Did not think at this point, week 8 of the season, I would say the 6-1 New York Football Giants with Daniel Jones, Saquon Barkley, and a plethora of random wide receivers. Darius Slayton, David Sills has been out there. Just a lot of randoms. The defense has been good enough, but it's obviously been a lot of that run game and managing Daniel Jones to not turn the football over. And then on the other side with the Seahawks, it's kind of been the same thing. Pete Carroll and that offense, they've been having Geno not do too much. Obviously, last week when they beat the Chargers, had a great deal of success on the ground with Kenneth Walker. That was a good sign. They're 3-point favorites. Heading back home. What do you see? Obviously, I think it's going to be similar styles, right? It's going to be who can outpoint the other, who can force the other team's quarterback to do something that they haven't done through the first 7-8 weeks of this season.
Yeah, crazy to think this is one of the most exciting matchups of the weekend, but it really is. And the fact that it's in Seattle makes it so much better to me. I'm not going to say anything negative about the Giants team. They're 6-1. They have proven me wrong for 7 weeks in a row, basically. I think this is going to be a fun, exciting, good matchup with lots of points scored. I'm leaning Geno Smith and the Seahawks. Shocker, I'm picking against the Giants. I love Brian Dable as a coach. I love the coaching scheme. I think they're going to go up there. They're going to run a lot of Saquon Barkley because the Seahawks cannot stop the run at all. We'll see a little bit of Daniel Jones, and they won't make mistakes. It's going to be a close, competitive game. But I'm simply going with Seattle because Geno has been great this year. Great's a little bit strong. He's been very good this year, and I think they're going to be able to run the ball like crazy as well on this New York team. Kenneth Walker, I think, is in for a big day. You still have Tyler Lockett, DK Metcalf won't be there, but I like this Seattle team. They only have to win by a field goal. I think a lot of points are going to be scored. And I mean, to be fair, New York 6-1, they've had a lot of close games and they've been on the right side of all of them. We saw that a couple years against with the Seahawks with Russell Wilson, a couple years back where they were on the right side of like one possession 3-point games, like 8 out of 9 times that year. And the Giants are kind of looking at a similar thing. So I'm going to roll with the Seattle offense and for them to cover by a field goal. And, 12th man, they're at home. That's a big factor for Seattle. That crowd is unique for sure. And I'm leaning Seattle here.
Yeah, and Seattle they have something to play for now. It's weird to say week 8 they're leading the NFC West by a game, so the crowd's going to come out with a little bit of extra juice. But I'm going to ride again with the magic of the New York Giants. I don't know, it's just something about them. It's when people bet against them and they find ways, right? I don't think it's going to be pretty, right? It can't be pretty for them because they have to monitor what Daniel Jones is able to do and not have him throw the ball around too much. The wide receivers out wide really aren't good enough to break down secondary. So it's going to be heavy Saquon Barkley again. It's going to be pick your spots with Daniel Jones again. And it's going to trust the defense, right? The defense is able to force a couple of turnovers out of Lamar Jackson. So I'm kind of going with on the road. They're going to find a way to force Geno into throwing a couple of balls he doesn't want to throw and flipping the turnover, getting themselves some extra points and getting out of Dodge in Seattle. I don't know if there'll be a ton of points because I think both teams are going to do the same thing, right? I think it's going to be a lot of clock burning. If both teams could have their way, run their 2 running backs into the ground if they could have it that way and just find ways to get it out. I don't expect it to be pretty, but I do like Seattle's weapons out wide more, right? But I just have to roll with the Giants. I'm gonna take them for another week as 3-point dogs. Even if they lose, I think it'll be closer, right? I think it'll be, I don't know, 21-20, like one of those super tight, close ball games with 2 teams that basically play the same exact style of football, which is it's weird when you get these matchups like this where the guys same scheme, older quarterback, obviously Geno Smith, better weapons outside for the Seattle Seahawks for sure, I'd say, with Lockett, Goodwin, and Dwayne Eskridge. I don't think DK is playing, but they still have enough out wide to do a little bit more damage if they can find ways to separate.
Well, the good news for you and the New York Giants is for the 8th week in a row, I picked against them. So New York Giants +3 is a lock.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how it runs. The wheels will fall off at some point. We keep saying that, right? They're not a great team on paper. They're finding ways to win ball games. The wheels, I still expect, and I'm going to say, watch it get to week 15, and I'm saying the wheels are going to fall off at some point. It's going to happen. It's just a matter of when does it happen. But they've been a remarkable story through 7 weeks now. So, I mean, I'm going to keep rolling with them.
And to be fair, the Seahawks feel the same way, right? Like, how long can they keep this going? Obviously, they're better than what we thought, but who knows how long it lasts.
Yep. Let's move on. Last game on the docket, the 49ers and the Rams meet up once again. High stakes out in the NFC West. We already saw the 49ers took the first meeting between these 2 teams. They're going on the road into Los Angeles as 1.5-point favorites. Christian McCaffrey, full week of practice, should be good to rock. I'd expect him to get a lot more usage this week than he did last week, only jumping in, I think, Wednesday, Thursday practice. So he only had limited snaps. And then on the other side, the Rams, they haven't looked great. They don't have a run game. Cam Akers on the trade block. Darrell Henderson hasn't really provided them much. The Matt Stafford elbow. Their offense outside of Cooper Kupp has not looked good at all. They don't have anything. It's a high stakes game though. 49ers sitting 3-4. The Rams sitting at 3-3. The Rams desperately need this, right? You don't want to go down 2 games. You don't want to get swept by the 49ers when we're assuming the Seahawks wheels will fall off and that one of these 2 teams will rise up to the occasion and take the division. If you're 2 games back and you've lost the tiebreaker to your division rival, it's not a good spot. So, I mean, what are you seeing here? Do you expect Kyle Shanahan to be able to do it again? He's kind of had Sean McVay's number outside of that NFC title game last year. It just seems like he always has something to beat Sean McVay.
Yeah, and it's the Rams at home plus 1.5. They're getting points. You're coming off a bye week, and I still don't like them. It's just like I don't know. Yes, you rest up, but like, what did you do in that bye week? Like, you didn't acquire more offensive weapons. Like, you still don't have anybody in the passing game. Allen Robinson still can't create any separation. I will say Van Jefferson's healthy. He should be back, and like that's not a huge name, but I do think that's actually pretty notable considering how much they've struggled through the air this year. So I do want to keep my eyes on that heading into the weekend. But I mean, Cam Akers on the trade block. It just feels like some moves are going to be made for the Rams, and they just I haven't seen it this year. I'm still concerned about them. And then on the other side, you got the 49ers coming off, getting their butt kicked against the Kansas City Chiefs. You add Christian McCaffrey, you get a full week of practice, you get them into that game plan more. The Niners already dismantled the Rams this year. That was not a pretty showing for the Rams earlier, and I think they do it again, honestly. I like San Francisco minus 1.5. Shanahan seems to always beat Sean McVay with one exception, and like the Niners just have much more weapons offensively. I think both defenses will do what they do, but I'm simply riding the Niners. I like their offense. They're coming off a bad showing last week. They want to get right, divisional game in LA. And I think the Niners put up points, and I worry if the Rams can score more than 2 touchdowns.
Exactly. The Rams offense has been absolute dog shit this year. Yeah. They're coming off a bye. They didn't get Matt Stafford a new elbow in that bye week. They didn't get him Tommy John surgery. I don't trust Matt Stafford. He hasn't slung the rock well this year. 6 touchdowns, 8 picks. He throws a lot of pick sixes. I expect him to throw another in this game. And they just don't have anything outside of Cooper Kupp, like I mentioned going through it at the beginning. I like everything. The 49ers got their asses kicked, but I trust them with Kyle Shanahan to incorporate Christian McCaffrey. I expect heavy Christian McCaffrey. They'll throw in Jeff Wilson when they need him. Debo, Ayuk, Kittle's out there. They'll just do enough. And I like their defense better too, to be honest. Nick Bosa to get after the quarterback, right? Not DeForest Buckner, Eric Armstead in the middle. Damn, same guy. I like their front to still be able to do their thing and get after Matt Stafford. So I just don't trust the Rams at all. The Rams haven't shown me anything. They did nothing coming off a bye week. Matt Stafford's elbow is not going to get better off a bye week. I mean, it's rested, but it's not going to have him slinging the ball better. The Rams, I mean, it seems like it was a 1-year thing. I mean, they desperately need this game. So we'll see on Sunday if they can come out with some desperation and show to the world that, we still have it. We just got off to a bad start, Super Bowl hangover, as they say, but I don't see it. Shanahan owns McVay. Christian McCaffrey's in for a big day, I'd say.
Yeah, Christian McCaffrey, I think, is going to have a really nice show, and I'm so excited for him. But like, it's just like the Rams. I mean, Odell gets hurt last year. You don't have him this year. You traded Robert Woods. All of a sudden, you're so depleted at a receiver, and it's just. And then you don't realize how important a 40-year-old lineman is, Whitworth, until you realize he was a Hall of Famer still playing at an elite level, and like they really needed him. And all of a sudden, when you don't have receiver depth and the offensive line doesn't have continuity and is struggling, like you go from great to not very good real fast.
Yeah, and they don't have a lot of money, right? Everybody puts that into the moves they're able to do in free agency and in the offseason. They're able to swing that, but that doesn't help you mid-season, right? Being able to swing trades, because, I mean, you can't manipulate the cap when you're making trades. They don't have a lot of space to make moves. They don't have any picks really to make any big moves and swing and kind of get something. So, yeah, I mean, you hit it. Whitworth is kind of a bigger loss. I think the Sean McVay doing the TV stuff and hinting at leaving the team in the offseason, I think that kind of messes with you. And then Matt Stafford not being 100% with the elbow and him kind of, he's not all the way there. The Rams are in trouble. I'd say they lose this, they're in serious jeopardy of possibly missing the playoffs coming off a Super Bowl win, which I didn't really think. I thought they'd have a down year, but I think even in the preview for the NFC West, I said they'd win. I think 10 games it was. Like, I still thought they'd be up there and still get into the dance. But I mean, we're sitting here, if they lose this to where 3-4, 2 losses to the Niners, it's hard to see them really catching fire down the stretch with an injured Matt Stafford and a defense that hasn't really been great.
The silver lining, I would say, is that the NFC is like super jumbled up with like 3-4 wins. So like, I mean, probably 10 could get you a wild card spot. So like, I don't know, long season. They're champions, they'll fight back, but it's just hard to see unless there's some big moves made to the roster and they don't have flexibility.
For sure. I mean, we'll find out the next couple weeks getting into the mid stretch, the championship, if this core has that championship DNA to kind of dig themselves out of a hole, which great teams do over time. But let's move in to our final portion of this episode, our spread picks. I think we did flip-flop a couple. Yeah, obviously Giants, Seahawks, we flip-flopped. And then I think the Falcons, Panthers as well. You're riding with PJ Walker. Other than that, though, Colts, Commanders as well. Any games that you really love that you would call kind of lock of the week material on this slate?
Lock of the week is
Don't
a
say
little
Bills minus 11.
it's a little tough. So Bills minus 11 does feel good because like the Packers have looked so bad. I would love to tease the minus 11 because that's a lot of points. Favorites. I mean, I feel pretty good about the Niners minus 1.5 because I'm pretty convinced they're gonna win. But I would tease some of these. I have a hard time picking a lock right now because like I like Jets plus 2.5, but I do acknowledge like New England could win that game. There's a few that make there's quite a few that I like, but none of them that I'm full send on this week.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything that's great. I do like Jags minus 2.5. Russell Wilson's still not healthy. I don't care if he's doing jumping jacks, high knees. A hamstring injury is a hamstring injury. He comes out. I mean, I don't know how effective he's going to be. And we've already seen how bad the Broncos have been in general. And Nathaniel Hackett, I don't expect much out of that guy. So the Jags, I think they get it done in London. I think they can take care of business by a field goal. Doug Peterson, he should be able to do maneuvers around Nathaniel Hackett at will and just have a fun day. And yeah, I mean, I like the Jets too, right? With the Patriots shit, but then it's like, watch the Patriots defense show up this week and absolutely blank the Jets. So it scares
exactly. Me. They got embarrassed. So now New England's going to come out and just look great. They scare me. So there's a lot of matchups like that. I would like the Raiders minus 1.5 just to straight up win against the Saints, but like the Raiders will go full 4 quarters looking like shit. So I don't feel great about that. It's hard to feel fantastic about ones. I got some leans, but no locks, honestly.
But out of the 2 touchdown, the teams that are favored by more than a touchdown, Cowboys, Bills, if you had to pick one, which one do you trust more?
Actually, the Cowboys, because their defense has been so damn legit. The Bears are coming off an emotional high. They haven't had that good of a win in a while, honestly. And I think Dak looks even better this week. I'm not expecting an elite performance or anything, but I think the Cowboys roll by 10 to 14 points.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm with you as well. Aaron Rodgers is, it's still Aaron Rodgers at the end of the day where he could find a way to keep a game close, right? Lose by 10 or lose by 7. Yeah, I like the Cowboys all the way as well. Bears coming off a remarkable performance that nobody's seen coming, even us. We got robbed by them. And then, yeah, the Cowboys defense, Micah Parsons, I mean, they should have a field day on Justin Fields. I don't expect a repeat performance of what he was able to do in Foxborough on Monday night. It would just be absurd, but I've been wrong before. Obviously, I was wrong last go around with the Bears. But yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it, man. That's gonna be a wrap for a week 8 preview. Looking forward to obviously tomorrow night's game, and then obviously the Eagles coming back off the bye week for sure. Looking forward to that action and all the other things that are going on Sunday and Monday night. But yeah, thank you for listening. Please like, subscribe, and comment. Please drop any feedback in the description below or add us on Twitter at Take3Sports. As always, Spotify link will be posted in the description of this video. And yeah, we'll see you back next week to unravel a week 8 and where we went wrong, where we went right.